Hi guys, Jim Minrod here from MiniMakesIt.com, bringing you a video about bleed. One of the things we see a lot come across our through our department is we get a lot of files without bleed. We kick it back, just trying to get a better file. We do need it for tolerance. The speed at which these products are produced now, 17,000 sheets an hour at 2840. It's really fast, and we do have tolerances that we need to keep, and it will help your product look better. Some of the other things I'm going to talk about is if you're not having your files kicked back to you, it might be that your printer is fixing these things for you. Great. If you're happy with that, I guess you don't need this, but I would really start taking a look at what they're going to do to fix it or how they're fixing it. And we'll touch base on a couple of those issues in the video. Some things I like to point out, because I don't think that, I mean, you're the designer or the creative person that designed this. If it has something where it should be moved or scaled or anything along those lines, I think it should go back to you as the designer to fix it. We can fix some of them, but we usually will kick a job back just so you know, hey, we're tweaking your file or changing something from the way it was designed, and to help the look. All right, so let's get into some of the settings. Okay, so I want to touch base on some of the settings. One of the first ones I'd like to point out is under the File menu, Document Setup. And in case you didn't know this, if it has a shortcut key, this is the Option key. Then you get your Command key and the P key, the capital P. So if you hit those three keys at the same time, it'll bring up these same dialogues. Just want to point that out. Most people know it, but if you didn't, all of these shortcut keys are things that if you use every day, you're gonna wanna learn them. It will make your job faster and quicker. So when that window opens up, down here, if this is hidden, you just want to make this little toggle next to it. It'll open up. If you have the link all linked up, all you got to do is type it in one area. So 1/8 of an inch, so you got 0.125. Hit your tab key and it'll fill the rest of them in, and hit OK. Now visually you didn't see anything that drastically changed because of the view. So right now the view, a lot of people have it defaulting to normal. If you go down to bleed, it'll crop it down to show you the bleed and just the bleed only. So you notice on this page here, there was excess outside this page. So if I go back, put it back to normal, you see all the extra because that's a placed PDF. So you got the add, dimensions, everything on the outside. Again, all of that's correct. That's fine for us. When we export it as a PDF, it's gonna crop that off because we crop it right down to the bleed. But I think going back to this view screen mode, selecting bleed, I just think cleans everything up on the outside of your pasteboard, so you're not looking at a whole bunch of things that you don't really need. This file here, as you can see, goes out to the end. That little sliver there is fine. That's actually probably a bad view. So if I go around all the edges, I got bleed, not a problem. Come over to this page. If this was the file that we opened in prepress, we wouldn't move that up. If that was supposed to be at the end, we probably wouldn't touch that because of the distance that it's away. But if the file looked like this, we would just take this and move it out. And that's what we need, 1/8 inch. So this black edge here is the edge of the document, the edge of your book size. What I just did there was drug it up, so now it's extended past 1/8 inch. And as we're running, as this thing moves around a little bit, when it's being printed, when it's folding, then when it's being stitched and trimmed or whatever else happens to it in the finishing, that's where this tolerance comes into play. So let me undo that there. So because that was just a block and I was able to move it, it didn't affect anything. We would just move that. We're going to fix it, keep your file moving. I'm not going to contact you or have you waste any time. Okay, so that's the easier bleed section. Like I said, we would move it, not stop the job. Everything would keep going. This next spread, I'd like to reach out and say thanks to the Standard Group for allowing me to use their marketing piece here. It just had a whole bunch of things that fit for what I was trying to get across. not that it was wrong. I moved and changed all of these things. This whole file was set up correctly. What you're seeing here is stuff I moved around to give the point and to give a better visual. So this photo here, you can see we have plenty of bleed at the top. Everything's fine. There's no bleed down the left here. The image is short. When you start doing this, this one happens to be a saddle stitch book. That would be a problem. You will see white edges on your book. So when you open up the page to the book, it could actually look like that, like no image and a big white bar down the side. So what I do is we take it and we would pull that out, just like we did the yellow bar, if there was image. But as you can see, this is the edge of the image. So even though the picture box is way outside here, so there's plenty of room, the image itself is short. So I can move that, which we don't want to do. And here's where we go back to the beginning when I pointed out some of the things that if your printer is doing this, maybe it's okay. I would think that this one here could be an issue. What I like to point out is I moved some of these things over and made it transparent, but if this was part of your design, you see the end of the bevel coming through here on the tip of the T, right through the middle of the end, so it's hitting the end of the end, right here at the end, cuts through a little bit more of the back half of the beginning of the end, and then it gives you those 3 different colors, different transparencies. What happens is if we have to move this image, so if I take it and move this over to an 1/8 inch to get the bleed that we need, now you come back and this piece here that was over here doesn't actually go through there. The T is barely touching the end of that bevel when that bevel was already in there. So I'll put it back and you'll see where this comes into the T. So if I hit an undo, you see how much actually comes through here. By us moving it, it's changing your design. That's why we would flag it and not just move anything without telling anyone. The other thing you could do is, and for this picture, probably the best option is just grab it and stretch your photo. But you still lose a little bit. Like I said, this would be the best option. It depends. Sometimes, people want like a specific line to line up with something. If you're, doing high-end designs, this is the kind of stuff that your design will, you design stuff to have it on a specific area, in a specific spot. Most people I talk to who are doing these higher-end pieces, they're spending a lot of time making sure it looks exactly the way they want it. That's why you don't want just somebody just grabbing it and stretching it and moving things around on you. All right, so that is our biggest issue right there. We try not to move anything without someone, being told either we have to move it or, hey, you might want to try to change your design so we get bleed on that file. All right, so after that one, we can go through here. And with this bleed setting on, you can see this is out to the end, showing everything there. All the bleeds are good there. None of the rest of this design actually shows, there's no blocks there. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next page or next spread in this document. Again, I moved some of these out, but this is what we see a lot, where a lot of pages are, just missing bleed. So this image here, it's not pulled up to the 1/8 inch edge here. So it's right on the edge of the trim of the book. And like I said, as these things are going through, moving around, you're going to get differences in the top of this image. So we would grab this picture box, and I'm just moving the picture box. There's plenty of image there. No harm, no foul. Just move it and we'll keep moving on. Same thing with this gray block here. I wouldn't move it in this side because of the spine of the book, but drag that up, drag this side out. And if it goes further, as long as it's not an image in there and it's just a block of color, just bring it out to the end so it's at least an 1/8 inch away. And then we run into the same thing here as we had with the compass above. We have no bleed on that photo, and there is no more photo left. So we have our 2 options. We can move it or we can scale it. And this is where we would stop, go back to the customer service rep, have them contact you. It becomes questions. Now nobody sees it. They have to, walk people through it. I'm hoping that this video will help other people and help stop you being interrupted and keep your jobs moving. So again, like I said, if we move this image, go back, there's plenty here, but I probably would just move this and stretch it. But what happens is now this telephone pole or light pole is right on the edge of the book. So as the book, is being finished, you might get one where this is cut here, cut out here further. Again, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe to that part of the design, I would think that that's not really that important here. But that's where we shouldn't be making that decision. That light pole or that lady to the left really could be somebody important that was supposed to be in the book, and that's why it was moved to where it was moved. All right, I want to go through a couple more areas here. Just something we're looking through the pages. Looks like everything's good there. No bleed here. Just something quick. Go through your book. You can actually zoom out. To where you visually on your screen, you can see them. It's a little bit quicker to go through the pages a little bit. You can fan through them fairly quickly, tweak everything up as needed. So this page here, we see a lot of books designed as this word tactics here. People put them on the end of their book, on the end, even brochures. It's made to be on the end of the book. I see people do it on purpose, then cut things off on purpose. This one, if that was the intent, and that looks like to me that would be the intent of this piece here, it's fine. We would point it out as saying, let's just so everyone knew that this could be an issue. You're not going to get it exact. Most people who design this piece know that, but it's just something to be on the edge, give you a different look, help you stand out from other people. Okay. What I did here was I changed the screen mode to preview, which will actually preview it as if it was cropped to finish size without cropping it, just a view. But I want to show you kind of what we get as it's moving around, why we need the tolerance. And if you did design a book like this, the tactics or any other piece, as it's running, I just wanted to give you a quick visual of the tolerance. So as you can see in this first one here, it's right at the top. If this was a perfect book, everything got cut exactly like you wanted it. That's the look you were going for. As I scroll through some of these other ones, like that's moving up and getting cut off. You can see a little bit more on the S here. A little bit less of that getting, showing as if it was, there it's perfect, there it's not. What we get as it's running, you'll get them moving around back and forth. Things running up, off the sheet, back and forth. And that's, that's going to make a pretty good book. It might not be as drastic as what I just showed. Well, it really could be. We try to keep our tolerances, even more, and we pick samples and everything else and get better product out. We run overs for that reason to help, take away any of these things. But it's a probability, and it's the other reason why we definitely don't want just an image or just a solid area block to be there, because that white that moves when it's down to something like that, that white will stand out. In this design, nobody's really going to know that it's wrong. In a picture like we had with the compass above, that'll stand out. It's going to stick out pretty badly on a book. And some people won't notice, but I'm sure as a designer you will notice when you get your job, and you wouldn't want your customers seeing stuff with white cracks, white on the edges, that kind of deal. All right, back to the document. Now, because I changed this, I want to go back to view, screen mode, and turn it back to bleed. And you'll see on the edges, when I click bleed, you'll see the edge view pop back out. Okay, so the preview, back here, view, screen mode, preview, a lot of them are defaulted to normal. To me, it's fine if that's the way you want to view it. I do think that both of these help tremendous. If you want to see what it's going to look like finished, to give you a better thing, here's a preview of crop to size. And here's a preview at the bleed so you can check your file. It cleans up your pasteboard and all the excess stuff hanging out the outside. Cleans that up very well. if we go back to this view here, we see a lot of things that end up where you're viewing all this extra pieces out here that sometimes get cluttered, sometimes they don't. Okay, I wanted to touch base on some quick settings when you go to export your PDFs. I think the main culprit here is the setting here is not being changed correctly, and it's mostly because of the item that you pick. All right, so let's go into here. So you're going to go to File, down to Export. I already exported this. I'll save over that one. And what you have is your defaults, press quality and high quality print. Neither one of these work for any kind of press quality or high quality print of any printer that's doing high quality. Not sure why they have their settings set that way. We can go through major issues with InDesign and the way things are set up. If you do pick these settings, you definitely want to go into bleed, marks and bleed, and change your bleed and make it an 1/8 inch. If this isn't set, it won't give the bleed that we need. It has to be set to a positive number of 1/8 of an inch. One other setting I would change in your settings is this offset here. 0.08 is less than 1/8 inch, which means the tick marks that have white blocks behind each black tick mark are inside that 1/8 inch tolerance anyway. Again, I'm not sure why InDesign doesn't change this, or at least give printing the opportunity to give one that's called press quality or high quality print. So I would change that to also be at least 1/8 inch, so they're outside the bleed end. So the marks are longer, the weight, whatever you decide. But you want to turn on crop marks and page information. They're the main two. We don't need bleed marks. We certainly don't need registration marks and color bars. I don't know of any printers out there that use color bars from this setting. Every press has its own current set. If you are a printer and you do use these, feel free to reach out. I'd love to know why. So if you keep these two settings on, again, like I said, we don't need bleed marks. We don't need registration marks. We all run our own registration marks from our imposition programs. So change those settings there. Same thing with the press quality. You get on to press quality, doesn't have the marks on. Turn those marks on, move that out to 1/8 inch, set your bleed to 1/8 of an inch, and you should be good to go. Okay, well, that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to us, minimakes.com, and there's a contact form there. You can email me questions. You can put anything you want in the comments of this video, and we'll try to get back to you as quick as we can with the answers. If you like it, please like and subscribe. We're not sure if, I think some people are going to be interested in this. The more people are interested, the more we'll keep making. And if not, it's not really a waste of time. We'll make as many as we can, and hopefully you find it interesting. All right, thanks.